times today is July 10th. Time 4:50. We start opening our closed session, the meeting. Before we go to number one, public employee performance evaluations, government code 54957B, title city manager. This time, public can speak. I have one speaker, Mr. Holton, Benjamin Holton. We have timers.
No pledge of allegiance?
No,
No.
you do that at the opening
At
of the regular
open
session.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you find it?
Mr. Mayor,
이것들을
fellow city council persons, and the public in Calexico. I notice that we're having a review evaluation. I hope this is something positive. I hope it's not something that's just going to be like, I hope I don't use the wrong terminology, like a witch hunt to say we're going to go do this. I thought we had an understanding we were going to be more positive, more, let's say, more of a team building group here. I hope this is a team building evaluation to have constructed input, not something that's going to be, let's say, something as a, well, I'm sure you know what I'm thinking. And I hope, I trust this body. And I had somebody to tell me earlier that if something's wrong, no matter who it is, we'll do the right thing. Everybody has to be accountable to what their actions are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holton.
I'd like to ask a question. Oops.
There were another public comments. I have a public comment, Mr. Alex Boroni. Is one there was a closed session or open sessions? What for that? Closed session or for the open session?
I just want to make a comment.
No, I'm saying that what?
It's regarding the city manager and can I or?
No, city manager, yes, because closed session, people, closed session.
Okay, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I'm frustrated with our community. You know, it goes month, goes by, it gets a little better, it gets worse. I see this item on the City Council for a special meeting. I hope whatever you're doing, and whatever your plans are or your strategy is, you have to keep us in mind. We have business people, we have residents, and we have the community at large. We're frustrated. We don't want to be seeing this no more. We've been through a lot of drama in our city. Recently, Mr. Mayor, you got appointed. I supported it. I think it's a historic time in Calexico to have you as mayor. Please fit into the shoes and decisions that you make, that you not take anything personal, that you do anything thinking always of your community and your business people. I deal with a lot of developers and business people, and they are concerned of doing business in Calexico because we have an unstable city council. And they continue to see items like this on agendas, and you're really impacting livelihoods, not only of me, many other people, because they're not coming to Calexico to do business. They're bypassing us. They're going to El Centro. They're going to Imperial. They're going to Brawley. Let's get all together, every city councilman that are sitting up there, and say, no more personal. Let's move forward. Let's do the right thing for the people that you represent that are here today. Please, let's start doing the right thing. Let's start working for the community, and let's show the rest of the world and our community that we have a stable government and that we embrace business and we welcome them. And you know, Mr. Kim, you're downtown. When you walk downtown, it's pitiful. And I'm not complaining about how dirty it is, but the vacancies. The vacancies. Before, when you wanted to open up a store in Calexico, get a location, you would have to fight for them. Now there's a whole bunch of them downtown. Let's look at the big picture and see. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Peroni. If any public comments, then we can go for the closed session.
Actually, I wanted to make a statement and a question. You know, Mr. Peroni, you said something that's very true. You need to keep everyone else in mind, Mr. Kim. I myself also am a business owner in downtown, and I had to cancel appointments to be able to be here. And looking at the actual letter that you sent, where your original requests were stated that your request for this type of a meeting is 15 minutes before 5 o'clock, and it's just not reasonable, and it didn't seem that there was an emergency situation, because the other item on here is about an elevator, but I understood at the last meeting that that was already going to be repaired from the gentleman that was here, so it seems as if maybe we're mainly here for the evaluation, which seems to be a little early for the evaluation, given that the evaluations were supposed to be every 3 months. We just hired Mr. Warren. So again, like you said, Mr. Peroni, I hope that the intentions here are positive ones, and if your words are true, Mr. Kim, from the other day, you indicated that you wanted to work together. However, it doesn't seem as if there's anyone else here that really knows what's going on. And there's a disattachment, as always, and a high concern, as I got several questions from several people asking what's going on. What's going on? So do we really need to continue to do this to our community to keep them pretty concerned about what it is that's going on, especially with JPA continuing to watch us? So I believe that our attitudes need to be community-minded, and I hope that whatever intentions you have about this closed session be, like you said, for the best, and that we allow this community to continue to heal. Thank you.
Mr. Kim, I have a statement that I received from Chris Westlake from Chelsea Properties. Can I go ahead and read that here?
Well, that thing is that we need to go to the
Well,
open session,
I think
open ones. This one is, we'll go for the closed session one.
I think it's prudent that you hear it. It's just a short message. He says, Councilman Moreno, I left you a message that we need to pull the home HOME application due to the short time period. Our third-party reports cannot be completed in time for next Wednesday.
Wow.
Without those, the application would be thrown out. This is why I tried to get it done with the city manager several weeks ago. Please call me if you have any questions. So, I guess we can't take action on that. They wanted to pull the item. Did you get that message, Mr. City Manager?
No, I haven't seen that message. First I've heard of it.
Okay, so he sent that to me. Then the meeting would be moot, a waste of time. But
No, Mr. Moreno, you are your mayor, your chairperson. We are talking about the closed session ones. That one's open session. We can talk about that to come out from the closed session. If I believe one more person, public comment, Mr. No? Okay. Somebody there?
Public comments right now.
Mr. Manuel Yanes for the closed session one.
Manuel Yáñez, live in Calexico. I got a short notice on this closed session. I just want to make a comment related with the evaluation. Been teaching for many, many years, and sometimes we had an evaluation. Mr. Moreno knows about being an instructor. Sometimes I got to the students and I tell them, open your book, and we're going to have a quick exam, and I think it's time for an evaluation. If you decided to make an evaluation on Mr. Warren, you have your point, and everyone can agree or disagree on this, but if for some point you think it's appropriate now to get evaluation for Mr. Warren, it's because he deserves it. Probably you saw something, or probably you're thinking that we as a community need to evaluate our city manager. And
I think it's appropriate to evaluate every people, and I think even with a short notice, I think it's nothing wrong with evaluating someone. If Mr. Warren is doing great work, he's going to be positive. If he's not doing the right thing, he's going to be negative. No one has to be afraid of evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yanis. So if any council members come in, we're going to convene to the closed session. No, I don't have any. No? I don't have any. Oh, I guess. I'm sorry, Mr. Angel, but I don't have Mr. Gonzalez ones. Mr. Angel, just pasa.
Ángel Esparza, 1049 Sput Moreno. Good afternoon, Honorable Council. We would like to know on what grounds these evaluations will be based on. I don't know if we have done evaluations on past city managers, but I like the fact that Mr. Warren will be evaluated, like that was part of the contract, because we're going to become aware of what he is doing or not, if he's doing his job, if he's not doing his job. So I think that's great, because in the past year, he's shown that he has been doing his job and gone past that. So I like the fact of evaluations, but they should be like scheduled and consistent, not be out of the blue on a Friday afternoon. So, Mr. Kim, could you please tell us why you had an evaluation days after you became mayor?
And on a dark day.
I believe that we don't have to answer this because it's public comment time. We are not communicating with the communities.
But it's okay to be transparent, Mr. Kim.
Well, I don't have to explain at this moment.
Well, it was a special city council meeting, and it was like 2 days, like just out of the blue. Like you made the community like come on a Friday night, like at least give an explanation to what was the urgency of it.
So first, again, council doesn't have to respond.
But transparency is very helpful, Mr. Kim. Your community is asking.
If anything say further, that we're gonna go to closed session, Mr. Parsa.
Well, just please be considerate of our community.
Thank you. Okay, the convener to the closed session. Sorry. Ms. Padilla?
Amazing. 2 days later, 2 days later, after becoming mayor, we're having a special meeting. When Warren signed that contract, it said that you guys could evaluate 4 times a year. That is every 3 months, not 3 weeks after he signs the contract. So if you do a special meeting on a closed day, where everybody knows it's closed today, it's kind of fishy, as you say, Mr. Kim, because you've used that word before, fishy. It's closed, but we're going to open it. Now we got to pay for utilities and everything. Where is the savings to the city? Now you've got to pay the attorney, again, $250 an hour. This couldn't wait the 3 months. Now you guys are going to go in there and try to fire him, because that's what it is. The evaluation is just a joke. We know it. Mr. Warren, if they do fire you, I hope you enjoy your 16 months of severance pay. I think that's what it was, right? How much was it? 8?
14. The city pays 8, JPI will pay 6 beyond that. But
Okay, so that's like 14?
it would be ironic to fire me, considering they just approved the contract last time.
Yeah, but we are talking about these 2, well, 3. So if they do fire you tonight, thank you for leading the city, and enjoy all that severance pay that you will be, bringing in, because these three wanted to do whatever they wanted to do. Yeah, so much for transparency. You're willing to break into everybody's talk like you did for me last time, but now today when they ask you questions, oh no, we can't talk to you. Yeah, that's being hypocritical, Mr. Kim. So we know what you guys are doing. The community is not stupid. We don't believe the little special thing. We know what you're doing. So it's on you. If he goes home and is going to enjoy this 14 months of severance pay, and JPIA comes down and says, enough of this circus, because this back and forth crap has gotten old with the community, I'm sure it's gotten old with the JPIA. And let me tell you, I so hope that JPIA shuts us down and the state takes us over and gets rid of all of you. All of you. That's what we need. State to come over, take us over, and get rid of all of you. You guys are useless.
Okay, before you go, I'm just going to brief, a short briefing. This special meeting called, first starting call from the Mr. Moreno. So she wants to have an agenda special meeting to try to application for the De Anza elevator. Then other council member wants to have a adding agenda. That's what happens today. Thank you. Should we go?
Are we going to do pledge?
6:14, reconvene from the closed session. I forward to the lawyer.
No action was taken on the single closed session item regarding the performance evaluation, the city manager.
Okay. I believe we have to go for the call for the order of the attendance. Right now, so we have Mr. Castro, Ms. Hurtado, and Kim is attending the open session. Pledge of the Alliance. Pledge of the Allegiance. Lead by Ms. Hurtado.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The public comments and the public appearance, as in public wants to talk. Note not to exceed the 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item on the special meeting agenda. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of the residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Please direct your questions and the comments to the city council. Is any public wants to? Okay. Did you fill up the form? This one? Okay, Ms. Padilla?
I have a question. I thought the guy that came here on Tuesday said that the elevator was going to be fixed the next day. Was the elevator fixed or not?
The elevator was fixed as of yesterday.
Okay, and so I guess this is moot? I mean, this agenda item dies? Because if the elevator was fixed, why are we here?
Can you explain, Mr. Won? Mr. Won?
Yeah, we did skip over the motion for the approval of the agenda. I figured I'd mention that after the public comment.
Okay.
Ay, ay.
Approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? I second.
Okay.
To vote?
That's all right.
Is Mr.
Aye.
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 To pass, 3-2-0, 3-2, with the 2 absence. Take action on home application for the new elevator.
Mayor, on this item, Chelsea has withdrawn its request for the city to submit, to pass a resolution for an application to be submitted, so therefore the item has been removed from the agenda, or no, does not need to be considered.
Okay, I think I have missed one person,
We recommend
Mr. Van
adjournment.
Holten.
So we should adjourn then, right? There's nothing
We
on the
can,
agenda? Oh, no.
we still have public comments. Or did we, wait a minute, he skipped over that. He skipped over the public comments.
I am the
Yeah,
public.
welcome, public comments are nice.
Are we in the public comments section still?
Yes.
Okay. Or have
Can
we
we go
moved
back
to
to public-
the item on the agenda? We're sort of jumping around.
I was speaking on the agenda.
Well, speaking for the
Okay.
agenda, business
Okay.
items.
Why don't we let the member of the public speak, have her 3 minutes as part of public comment, and then we move formally to the agenda item. How about that? If your comment relates to the item on the agenda, then we should wait until that item is called. Because
so
public
what
comment
she's
period
doing.
is supposed to be on items that are not on the agenda.
Yes, so that's supposed to what she's doing it right now. So it's
Okay.
item, we only have one item on the open
Okay, so
session.
there's no public comment on anything not on the agenda, so we can move on to the agenda item, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's, we only have one, so, okay, any public only have 2, they're all the same items, the business item number 2.
Okay, so you called the public comment, there was no one who had anything to say on something that was not on the agenda, now we can move on to the agenda item, which you have called,
Okay.
and city manager has given his report.
Okay, we have a public comments to finish, so is anybody to wish to the public comments? This one is only for the special meeting, so it has to be special item only, so we don't have to be general comments.
I do want to make a comment if I could. I really do apologize to everyone that this meeting was set up this way at 4:45. And apparently what we went in there to discuss was not what was on this agenda item. This agenda item that indicates here, there needs to be more transparency because this agenda here was not discussed. We actually went fully into Mr. Bostic's situation. And I believe that we need to avoid that. We need to change our attitudes into being much more transparent, especially if we're going to be pulling people out from their jobs, their appointments in the middle of the day, instead of structuring this type of meeting transparently. I think it's very important that this was a waste of everybody's time.
Mr. Lawyer, Mr. Austin,
Yes.
we cannot report the closed item, what's going on there. We should not talking about the closed items.
Correct,
I
there should be
think
no
transparency
disclosure
is
of what
very
is discussed in closed session.
Yeah, we cannot expose what we've been discussing at closed session.
When in the spirit of transparency, I believe
That's not
that
that's
is very
not
important.
transportation.
Transparency is absolutely
Transparency is nothing that.
Transparency is
This what
absolutely,
we
that's
should
the name of
not
the game.
talking about the closed session ones. And also you're misleading the people.
No, I'm not.
It's
What's
not- it's not
misleading
what
is the
happened.
agenda, sir. What's misleading is this agenda.
You are
Because we went in
misleading,
there
you are
for
misleading
something
the
completely
communities to what you're saying. Is that you should not using.
I know. And I
By the way,
believe
I'm
that
still standing here,
I believe
I'm
that the
Okay.
citizens
trying
are,
to talk on my agenda item.
If I may, it's
Go ahead.
better if we go in order, and at this point in time, we're at the public comment portion of this one and only agenda item, and so if we just go individual by individual, then the council can have their debate on this item.
Okay. Mr. Padilla, please.
So again,
Yeah.
my question was why we were here if the elevator had been fixed. And then he answered, it's been fixed, so they pulled out whatever it was that they wanted. So at that point, you should have just told us all, it's been fixed and let's go home, instead of standing here and listening to all of you. And really, this is a circus. Get your act together for the next meeting.
We have to have formally called the meeting, we have to close it formally. That's why we are doing this. And Mr. Orton, you have
Your Honor, please. Please. Your Highness.
Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council. In reference to item number, the second item, I went ahead and prepared some information that I had put together from past, when I was on the Finance Committee, and this has to do with the Chelsea. Now, I realized it was pulled from the agenda, or I should say, it was dropped, but I'm just going to give you a little background information. In reference to using public funds, in 2012, we had a meeting here. I don't know if Mr. Kim was part of it, but we had a meeting in reference to Chelsea and the plan to build apartments, to give you a little history. And it was these apartments here, the ones that are finishing up. The reason I got involved with Chelsea, a former city councilman, Councilman Hodge, asked the Economic Commission to look into Chelsea. I put together a CD that talked about some of the problems we have with Chelsea. I'm hoping that the City Council as a whole will look at this, and they have this information in housing. There's some things that you might want to be aware of. Chelsea was asking for some monies to build a new, to renovate or install a new elevator. But if we look at the facts, they shouldn't have been doing it that way. They're responsible for the elevator. I'm sure they know that now. That's probably why it was pulled out. But I hope that the City Council will do their due diligence and look at the information, and you'll learn what we should and what we should not do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. If there any public wants to talk, then I'm going to go to the microphone for the fellow council members. Is there anybody who wants to talk about these issues? Mr. Hurtado? Okay, Mr. Castro?
No comments this time.
Okay, I have some clarification on these issues. I've been talking a little bit before the go to the closed session. Actually, I received an email from Mr. Moreno to requesting for the application for the money. And this one is putting in this application to put a new elevator, not the repairing elevator. And as a chairperson, as a mayor, I have responsibility to put agenda regardless I agree or not. Maybe some public knew I was always against to give the money because I believe this entity is not served perfectly to what they mean to be. And they've been taking a lot of benefit from our fund. We can apply that money to our city itself, or to even we give to other entity probably can be a lot better, especially seniors or people can be lower their rent. And one of my friends, he retired. He went to San Diego. He only paid $70 per month for the rent from the senior apartments. So we have a big difference between we serving the community through this money. So I'm glad this Mr. Wong see this one they have a lot of issues. And this one, we should have more focusing to our community needs than instead of some company makes good money on those. But I have to put it on the agenda. I'm not going to block any council members if wishes to put it on agenda. I was fighting for that I'm going to be honored any council members who wish to put it on agenda. So I believe we have a letter from the pullout from the company. From us, Mr. Won?
I'm sorry? You know what, I did not get a letter, but I have no reason to doubt Councilmember Moreno having received the letter. We feel like the repair of the elevator or the replacement of the elevator was the responsibility of Chelsea,
Yes.
based on the previous federal funds that they had received, and therefore, this particular request was not necessary. And in fact, they had the responsibility to fix the elevator or replace it, and that there was no need to apply for federal funds in order to do that. So, I mean, that was our position. I think Chelsea has done the right thing by withdrawing their application and making sure that elevator is repaired, and we did send an employee out there to try it. So they pressed the button, they went up, and they pressed the button, they went down.
Thank you. By the way, as Mr. Won said, that any hard money, they have to reserve the money for the equipment repairs. They're supposed to reserve the money there. So, by the way, I think we don't have to make the decision because they pulled out. They requested pulled out.
That's correct. You don't have to do anything.
Do I have
Problem is solved.
Mr. Castro have something to say?
I have a question to Mr. Warren. I believe we as a council or we as a city, we need to have or look for some financial report from this company in order to see how they are dealing this project, because this is a serious matter, because like one of the seniors mentioned, and there is some other seniors approached to me, and they told me this is not the first time, and for them that who lives on the third floor is something very struggling or difficult for them in order to go and use the stairs on the third floor.
No, I agree with you, Councilmember Castro. The elevator has been a problem for 2 months.
For 2 months?
For 2 months.
Damn.
Repeated requests by the tenants and by the city, by the way, have only been met, and I'm very critical of Chelsea, with excuses of why it hasn't gotten done. And it got to the point, because I was frustrated, that I had the city attorney write a letter, and I got a copy of it, and it's before you right now.
I have it.
Right. Telling Chelsea that they had an obligation to fix that elevator and that we would take appropriate action should they not do it. And the reason I had the attorney write the letter is because we are going to enforce the agreements that Chelsea has with the city.
That's good.
Where we were going to take some legal action with regard to the leaking.
There's 2 issues that we raised in the letter. One was the elevator, one was the
But
leaking.
the legal action was towards the leaking.
Well, the whole purpose of the letter was to get Chelsea to comply. Now, relating to the second issue that you raised, Councilmember Castro, is that Chelsea is required to submit to us audited financial statements every single year. A recent review, we're currently conducting our own review and investigation of the Housing Division, and we have found out that Chelsea has failed to submit those audited financial statements.
Okay. Since when?
And we are moving forward to correct that, because under the agreements, the reason why is they're supposed to remit to the city any residual amount after their expenses. Well, the only way you could ever even tell that is if you get the audited financial statements to see if they have, if in fact there are residuals. In no case were they supposed to pay us less than $1,000 a year. And what we're finding out is that Chelsea has not complied with the terms of these previous agreements. But I can assure you in the public that we're moving forward aggressively to ensure that whatever agreements are in place with the city or with anybody, not just Chelsea, that they're going to be complied with. So we have been working very diligently to make sure that the concerns of the senior citizens are addressed, but at the same time that Chelsea follows the things and does the things that they said that they would agree to do.
Sounds great.
So,
You know, when we, the city, involve ourselves in situations like this elevator, there was a little bit of pushback as far as the public saying, why are we so concerned about an independent structure or complex when the city doesn't own the property? And so I think that the councilman that went out there and was doing that, that was happening since a while back, since the campaign last year. But I think that it's really important also to help the senior citizen community understand that if they also need legal advice, that there's an agency, a county agency called
Yeah.
Area Agency on Aging, which when they have these types of issues, and it's not necessarily a management, that the city of Calexico could get involved in that management concern, even though there was the strong letter from the city attorney. As far as solutions, they should seek out that type of agency that's there to provide that legal assistance towards them. And we all should learn how to access that, and I know one of my really good friends works there.
Okay, Ms. Hurtado, I'm the one who went to with Mr. Real. I asked them to any major, like safety concerns, issues, they supposedly, I'd like to have build a system, automatically they report to the city what's happening and then what they're going to do when they're expecting to fix. So that way, until we don't wait until citizens complains, that we know what's going on and then they are on the way to process to fixing. So that I requested at the time, so we can, our citizens to stay there comfortably, in case of something happens, they can have a fast result. And then I told them to, it's been very often that elevator has been broken. I believe once every couple months they've been broke down. If they broke down, it takes more than months to fix. So I told them to think about put the new elevator instead of the repair every time. So they are looking into that one too. So, but the thing is, I believe it's the ones on the same page with us, and I think we have to push them to get this one for the new ones or the durable for the until next to broke down on the elevators. And again, some project or some big project, they just need contractors, they need to make the city council member happy, then they don't have to comply. That's why it happens years to that happening. And I believe this case, Chelsea will know council is not only supporting them, this council first duty is supporting our community. Thank you. Is there any council members wish to talk?
No.
Okay, then we're gonna, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
you don't need a motion, you can just do it.
Okay, then. Okay, now adjourn the meeting about 6:36. Thank you.